Chapter 5. Home and Dry. I arrived safely at the church, a little shaky but not so worse for wear. The sun was shining and it was a pretty warm day for the north of England. Everything was green and the spring flowers were blooming. A perfect day for a perfect day. Maybe this was a good sign. A sign from the big G to let me know that I was just being silly. Life will only get better after this day and to stop fretting so much. After all, we had lived together for the past 6 years. The trial period was over. Then I spotted her. The one that put the fear of God into me. She who was all sweetness and smiles, but had a hint of devilry lying under her pale skin. The one I called the she-devil. The woman in white. And no, I hadn't just seen a reflection of myself. It was, in fact, the eccentric vicar, bouncing out of the church in her eccentric way, with Bible in one hand and thumbs up for me with the other. She meant business, and she scared the shit out of me. I felt myself instantly take a step back, a natural reaction to seeing the nearest thing to religion I've seen in, all my life. But my father was holding on to my arm tightly. He wasn't letting go. More to the point, he wasn't going to let me go anywhere but straight ahead. There was only one direction for me, and it felt like a very slippery road, and in the direction of the Earth's core. Then my father gave me a little nudge forward, but I stood my ground. For the time being, I was stuck solid, halfway between the church entrance, where the she-devil was patiently waiting, and the cemetery exit. We were having a small tug of war, and I wanted to go in the opposite direction to where my father was heading, but I'd already got the thumbs up from the she-devil. She'd already spied me, so I couldn't run and hide behind one of the impressive tombstones now, with my eyes closed, hoping no one could see me. The thing you do as a child when playing hide and seek and you know your hiding place is crap, because all the best ones were taken quickly by the bigger kids. So you close your eyes, because if you can't see them, they can't possibly see you. I was pretty sure, though, that when people looked for the missing bride, that the big blowing white dress would have given my game away.
What are you doing?
So my father won our tug of war. Or maybe it was a tug of wills. And I cautiously moved forward to accept the outstretched hand of the she-devil, wincing in anticipation of pain. The pain of burning flesh. Because she obviously knew, as she held the hand of the big G. He told her I was a fake. How could he not have? Catholics don't allow fakes to get married in the name of the big G. It must be written in the Bible somewhere. But as I stiffly took her hand, she smiled sweetly and gave me a weird, I'm a cool eccentric vicar wink and asked me if I was ready. Stupid question, really. Surely she could see right through me and see I was nowhere near ready. But to which I returned her smile with my own sweet smile and slowly nodded my head, wide-eyed and unable to pronounce a single word through pure, indefinable fear. I was guided closer to the entrance by my I'm not letting go, father, and as I looked down the long, narrow aisle, it sent me a little off balance. Maybe the 3 glasses of champagne with breakfast hadn't been such a good idea, but it wasn't the champagne that had knocked me sideways. I could handle a drink or two. It was the road to my future. Or was it the road to hell? That made my knees go a little weak. And what kind of future was in store? I couldn't see any crossroads or go slower signs, and there were no roundabout halfway down in which to go around and go back in exactly the same direction I'd come if I chose. One deep breath. As the deafening sound of the organ emerged from somewhere within, with something that vaguely sounded like my cue to start walking, or sliding, or maybe dragged. My audience before me arose and turned to face me. I was about to face my jury, consisting of my nearest and dearest on one side, and soon-to-be family and friends on the other side, and little old me, stuck in the middle, wondering how the hell I was going to make it down that slippery-looking slope to the unknown. And all the while, without realizing it, the waterworks had returned. Flowing like a sudden burst pipe. This was all I bloody needed. Talk about great timing for a leak. I turned to look at my father, hoping he could read my mind and quickly whisk me the hell out of there. But I noticed he too was standing with a tear in his eye. I'd never seen my father cry and wondered if they were tears of regret, tears that said, "You're too young, don't do it, you're still my little girl," or were they tears of joy that said, "I'm so proud of you"? At this thought, my own burst pipe just found another leak, and the tears flowed faster and heavier. After all, I wasn't anything to be proud of. I was a fake. My father showed no signs of whisking me away to the safety of the nearest pub. Instead, he was guiding me slowly in the opposite direction down the narrow walkway where I started my long, slow journey. I had the feeling I was walking the plank with a school of sharks below, waiting in anticipation for their feeding hour, waiting for me to arrive in the deep, dark abyss of the unknown. As I edged closer towards the unknown, I slowly raised my head to show I still had some dignity left. After all, I'd never been a girly wass. And as I did, I noticed all the others around me with tissues held to their eyes to stop their own makeup from smudging. There was my mother standing beyond with a tissue in one hand. Did she think it was a bad idea too? Was she trying to let me know that it was okay to bolt and she'll stand by me whatever the weather? But she was too far away for me to be able to read her face. I turned to look at the other side of the aisle and noticed my soon-to-be mother-in-law looking my way. We hadn't exactly hit it off from the start, with her being a middle-class snob and me being, well, just me. I figured her tears were for her unfortunate beloved son, trying to tell him, "Please, son, you still have time to change your mind. Don't marry outside your class. She doesn't even have a degree, darling." Or maybe she was just upset because I'd actually turned up. I have to say, this thought did put a smile on my face as I passed her by. And then, on the long journey down the aisle, I started to wonder what all the others were actually thinking about this day. Had they secretly taken bets on how long it'd last, with comments in the local like, "They give it a year before he realises he's made a mistake," or "He'll never last, she's not the one for him, give it 6 months, I do"? Were the tears they shed tears of hope or tears of sorrow for the young, handsome couple? If only the power of mind reading was my forte.